Hey, I'm Jeremy. Welcome back to Rugby Informer. I just thought I'd do a little video to appreciate some of the best players of 2024. Now, obviously, the World Rugby Awards took place. There was some interesting decisions from the World Rugby panel. A lot of people agreed with some of them. A lot of people didn't agree with some of them. I guess it's a problem with any type of award. It's very subjective. It's hard to kind of quantify or specify a player, especially in a game like rugby, which is so team orientated and so position orientated, who kind of stands tall above the rest. I just wanted the hullabaloo around the awards and all the controversy and all the comments to kind of die down a little bit so we could have a breath and take a refreshed look at some of the players that stood out in 2024, at least in my eyes. Now, obviously, the Springboks excelled throughout the year, and there was a lot of players from the team that could easily be thrown into any awards list. But in the spirit of mixing it up, I picked 3 different players from 3 different countries to kind of have more of a comprehensive look at who I thought did well in their respective sides. In terms of the best Springbok player, obviously Oxenchair was incredible. He was easily the best front rower all year round, absolutely demolished every scrum throughout the whole test season. Cheslin Kolbe was his usual electric self. I think he was the most dangerous attacking threat throughout the Rugby Championship, throughout the Autumn Nation Series. Curtly Arendse was fantastic. Apelela Fassi was amazing the whole year. You know, if he didn't make his debut a couple of years ago before he kind of fell out of favor, if he started this year fresh, I think he would have won that breakthrough player of the year unanimously, hands down. He really stepped into one of the most difficult and technically complex positions, especially in the Springbok squad. They've relied so long on Willie le Roux, his tactical kicking, his vision, his playmaking ability, his defensive organization. So it's quite a overwhelming, quite a daunting position for someone to slot into. And Fassi, you know, was originally used on the wing. He came into fullback and absolutely killed it. He did really, really well. So I think he has to be commended for how well he took on that role. But my actual pick for the best South African player of the year has to go to Eben Etzebeth. He just plays at such a high level all the time. He's always physical, always aggressive. He's become a very good technical lock, especially his line-out work, working around the mauls, making sure he gets all those little technical things right that gives the Springboks a 1% edge to win a set piece or win a rolling maul or whatever it is. And on top of that, I think his captaincy credentials really came to the forefront. There were a few games where Siya Kolisi didn't play and Eben Etzebeth had to captain the side or at least lead from a senior player position. And he just did so well to mobilize and energize the team. And he's not one of those captains who's just shouting from under the posts. He's running headfirst into most of the contact situations and making the last-ditch diving tackles or carrying well. So while it's a cliche, you know, he leads from the front. He leads by example. I thought he was just immense the whole year, and he never had a bad game. The Springboks just have an absolute piece of platinum with Eben Etzebeth at the moment, and the fact that he broke the record for the most capped Springbok of all time is just a salute to him and how much he's done for the green and gold. Now, my second player is a player that I think got quite overlooked in the World Rugby Awards and is kind of overlooked by most of the rugby audience, and that's Argentina's fullback, Juan Cruz Mallia. I think he just had such a good year. He's such a dynamic, interesting player. He can play on the wing. He can play at fullback. He can actually play at fly half. He's been playing at fly half quite a bit for Toulouse over the last couple seasons. While he's not as explosive or flashy as someone like Cheslin Kolbe, he kind of has a similar role in the Argentinian side, able to kind of move around the field. He's got a great tactical boot on him. He's got a big goal-kicking boot on him. He's physical. He can run really well. He's pretty fast and agile for his size. And he was instrumental in the win over the Springboks as well as the win over the All Blacks this year. He's just such a great player, and he keeps getting overlooked for, you know, his French counterparts he plays at Toulouse with. He's also plays such an important role for that side. I just think Juan Cruz Mallia is not just one of the best backs in the world. I think he's one of the best players in world rugby at the moment. He's incredibly and criminally overlooked. And I give him my salute for one of the best players of 2024. And thirdly, my last choice, while I'd love to give it to a front rower like Ox or Malcolm Marx, but like I said, in the spirit of mixing it up and having different players who did well on their respective sides, I'd have to give my third spot to Marcus Smith. While England hasn't really had the best year all round, I think Marcus Smith has been such a shining light for England. He's really evolved and sped up that attack that England has and has been a bit lethargic in years gone by. He's added an element of unpredictability around how England shapes their backline. And he's brought that Harlequins flair to the international stage. You know, a little bit of a slow start, but whether he was playing at fullback or at 10, he really just showed how he can spark that back line and get those England forwards running into gaps. And his impact was obvious when he was subbed off a few of the games later on in the year. Suddenly George Ford came on and things kind of fell back into that usual England routine, and they ended up losing a few games. Not necessarily saying the substitution was a result of that, but I think England needs to back that Marcus Smith element. He was also extremely brave on defense. He was smart with his tactical kicking. And you look at those two tests in New Zealand that they just missed out on. Marcus Smith was instrumental in both of those. He was really good when they played Japan earlier in the year, and he even gave the Springboks some headaches during that Autumn Nations Series game. So while I think Marcus Smith is not the traditional England fly half that people are used to, I think he had an amazing year as an individual player. Maybe it didn't translate exactly into the team results, but no one can watch his performances and tell anyone that he isn't making an impact with that England squad. I love seeing Marcus Smith play. I love the way he plays. I think he adds a different dynamic and element to England, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of him in 2025. But that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Are there any players who stood out to you? What do you think of my picks? Do you think there's someone that's been overlooked from the general discussion around the best rugby players of 2024 and the awards? What do you think of the World Rugby Awards? Please comment down below. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. And I will see you in the next one.